Hey, how's it going? Today we're going to play Pikachu EX in Lost Box. Lost Box hasn't really been the best in a while, just mainly because of the popularity of Regidrago, but Pikachu I think gives us a chance in that matchup and also makes a lot of other matchups a lot stronger. Now Pikachu is a 200 hit point Terra Lightning Pokemon with an attack for Lightning Metal Grass that does 300, and then we have to discard 3 energy from this Pokemon. But the main selling point about this card is its ability. It says if we have full HP and we will be knocked out by damage from an attack, we have 10 hit points remaining instead. So that can just swing the prize trade in our favor, which is pretty good. Like against Raging Bull, as long as they don't have the Fighting Slitherwing, we can take 4 prizes for them only taking 2. We can also one-shot anything in the format with Pikachu combined with the Gravity Mountain. The 300 damage Pikachu does one-shots, any of the basic EX Pokemon or V-Star Pokemon, and then Gravity Mountain lets us one-shot all the popular Stage 2 Pokemon because it says all Stage 2 Pokemon in play have 30 less hit points, which is perfect. It makes Charizard and Dragapult have 300 or less hit points, so now they can be one-shot with Pikachu. Now this does cause us to have to run a really weird energy lineup. I originally wasn't playing the Sableye, and I'm still not 100% sure if you need it, but I came around to putting it back in because the combination of like Prime Catcher something active that our opponent can't retreat at the end of the game and just Sableye damage around, or if we're forced to get rid of our Gravity Mountain, we can set up damage against Charizard and Dragapult with the Sableye, and it can also just pick off evolving basics, which can be really useful. Now, one thing I'm unsure of in this deck is whether to play Roxanne or Hassel. I have the Hassel right now. It's just a more powerful card. It says if one of our Pokemon was knocked out last turn, we can look at the top 8 cards of our deck, take 3 and shuffle the others back into our deck. This can basically let us see the entire deck at the end of the game, and we don't have to worry about lost zoning some of our last pieces. Like if we have energy we need in the deck and a Mirage Gate that we need to get out as well, we can Hassel, grab the Mirage Gate and shuffle the energy back, and then be able to Mirage Gate them right back out, which can be very nice. Roxanne can easily go in this slot as well. It does make the Prime Catcher Sableye plays a little more powerful. Another thing I've seen people playing is Silene. If I would have to guess, the Silene is to get back mainly Prime Catcher, Mirage Gate, and possibly Gravity Mountain in the matchups that you need it in. It's one of those cards where I feel like you can win most of those matchups without needing to get any of those cards back, like Gravity Mountain specifically. Against Stage 2 decks quite often, we're only going to be knocking out one of the Stage 2s anyway. A lot of the time between like Cramorant and Greninja and Sableye, you're going to take like 4 prizes, and Pikachu will probably just take like the last 2. And as with any Lost Box deck with Lightning Energy, we have Iron Hands. Amp very much is too strong. For Lightning at 3 colors, it does 120, and we get to take an extra prize card. It's going to be hard to use Iron Hands and multiple Pikachus in the same matchup, so a lot of the times if we're planning to do that, we're going to have to bench the Iron Hands ahead of time and attach an energy so that I only have to use 1 Mirage Gate on it instead of 2, and then only being left with 2 gates, because then that can get really weird when you're forced to, like, maybe you have to use a gate just to retreat and get the 3rd energy on something, or to use Sableye, and then we're almost out of them. So yeah, got to be careful about that. Bloodmoon is probably just always going to be really good in this deck. It's just an easy way to finish off games at the end of the game when our resources are pretty depleted. There's typically always a bench sitter in this format that has 240 or less hit points and is worth 2 prizes, so Bloodmoon is always going to be great in those situations. Now, like I said, I'm kind of unsure about the Sableye. Sableye is super strong, but it's just adding more to the weird energy lineup, and there's a lot of options in the deck without Sableye. So if I were to cut the Sableye, I think I would definitely add a Night Stretcher and either second Pokégear or possibly Roxanne. Even like 4th Poffin would be kind of nice. Anything to just make the deck more consistent. And we do still have Iron Bundle in here. We're going to need that. I think Gardevoir is still decent in this meta. So we want Iron Bundle to get around Flutter Mane, and it can just be useful if our opponent is only able to bench like one of their evolving basics and we're going second. We can just bring it up with Iron Bundle, knock it out with Cram, not have to waste Boss or Prime Catcher. There's also this Zamazenta that could potentially be in the deck. that does 100 plus 120 more damage if one of our Pokemon was knocked out last turn for Metal Colorless. The only things with that is we're going to need a third Metal Energy in the deck to more often have it in our hand to manually attach. And the second thing is that's 2 slots that we can't fit, and that it would basically have to go in the Sableye slot. And Zamazenta is really not as good without Sableye in the deck, because like you're going to want to use that against Raging Bolt and stuff, and they have 240 hit points. Then we want Sableye to finish it off. So that can definitely be kind of weird. And it doesn't really work in a lot of the situations we'd want to hit 220, like to knock out a Regidrago V before they can evolve it, because we need something knocked out first. But yeah, other than that, you know, Lost Box can still be extremely oppressive, like using Greninja right away and knocking out our opponent's evolving basics, and access to Iron Hits and Sableye is always good. Now Pikachu is just another strong card that we can use. Also, thank you everyone so much for 900 subs. That is pretty awesome. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you want to, please do it. Getting to 1,000 would be excellent. But yeah, other than that, that's the deck. Let's get into the games. Alright, this is the first game, and we're up against Dragapult. And I very unfortunately started Iron Hands, but all that they were able to do is bench Fezandipity and use instant charge, so I feel like that kind of evens out, and is pretty good for us. Now this Colress is extremely awkward. I think I'm just basically forced to get rid of 2 switching cards here. Only using 1 Comfey doesn't seem ideal, and I would like to PokéStop into a Nest Ball or a Poffin. But of course, all that we hit is a Mirage Gate, so that's not great. And now Comfey does get us into a Buddy Poffin. Now we can use 2 more Comfeys, and of course just have to skim through the prizes real quick. And I think just the main important things to check with Lost Box are definitely the energy cards are extremely important. And then Mirage Gates and Super Rods are going to be also important, and definitely want to know what Pokemon you have access to. So kind of everything. I do get rid of the Sableye there. That kind of sucks, but I already lost zone 1 Colress, and I'm not really trying to dead draw. So I just retreat into another Comfey, and I can grab the Water Energy because pretty sure no Pokemon were prized that we really need to use, and pass. Now next turn have pretty good odds of hitting a Greninja attack, so my opponent definitely needs to either bench Manaphy or 3 of their evolving basics. And they do end up getting a Duskull, so here I was thinking that they were going to forest for, you know, another basic or something like that. I doubt they're playing Manaphy. Most of these decks aren't playing Manaphy at this point. And they do switch into the Duskull, which is kind of weird. I don't know why they would force for a switch. That just seems like a waste. Yeah, here I have kind of a weird decision. It's either Water Energy or Boss. But since I checked the energy, I know that, or I have water in my hand and water in the discard pile. So of course I know I have access to both of them. It just comes down to, do I want to burn a Super Rod in favor of keeping Boss? And I do think I'm going to need Boss's Order in this game at some point, so I do end up keeping that. Now I can just Super Rod. I know that I have another Lightning in the deck, so I don't really need access to that yet, but I do put the Metal back just to have it in the deck, have 1 of every energy in the deck, and I opt to not put a 3rd card in because one of the worst things with Lost Box is having too many energy cards in the deck, and like this, just Comfeying into them sucks. I'd rather have them in the discard pile most of the time so that I can Super Rod them back when I need them. But we do unfortunately have to Lost Zone a Lightning Energy for the Gravity Mountain, but the Gravity Mountain's just too important, and we do have a Lightning in the discard pile, so that will be fine. Now we hit Switch and Super Rod off the prizes. Those are 2 really nice cards to see because I did prize 2 Switch cards and got rid of 2 switches before I got to look through the deck, so definitely happy to see that. Now they do use a Dusknoir right away, and now we're down to 3 prizes, so that could definitely be, or that's definitely pretty cool for us until they do have a Thornton. That sucks, but they are forced to Thornton their Rotom, and that had a forest on it, so they can't use the tool that lets them use their good attack. definitely happy about that. They used Thornton, I got to keep the hand, and we have everything in the hand to one-shot this Dragapult, so we're glad to see it. Now here, I'm just trying to think through the sequence of this turn, and I decided to Mirage Gate first because I have the energies in deck, so I definitely want to do that. And then PokéStop because I have Pal Pad, and I really want to hit Hassel off of this, so PokéStop, mill a Colress, and put one back in a Hassel. And now I am going to Super Rod. I want access to Greninja later, and I want a chance to hit my Lightning Energy off of this. We do end up hitting it. Now just have to think what cards we might need later, and Lightning, Super Rod, Water seem perfect. I can Nest Ball right now for Greninja, and have access to a Greninja Snipe next turn, which I think is really all that we could ask for. Now, the only other question is, do I want to Nest Ball for Cramorant? And I am at risk of getting Roxanne to 1 or Iono to 1 here. So I think Nest Balling for Cram would be pretty decent. I definitely wouldn't mind having that on the bench. And I'm not even going to use the Comfey. I really don't want to hit the Colress. It's the last Colress in my deck, and I want to keep it in my deck so that we have a chance to get to it at some point, because now we have Prime Catcher, Colress, and at least one energy card, I believe, in the deck that are going to be solid outs for us off of an Iono to 1. Like the energy to draw more with Greninja, of course. And we do just get into the Lost Vacuum, which is kind of unfortunate, but there's basically a 10% chance, or I guess 30% chance that we draw something we need. And we do end up hitting the Colress, which we had a 1 in 3 chance of energy, Prime Catcher, or not Mirage Gate, but energy, Prime Catcher, or Colress. And yeah, we just Prime Catcher up the Dreepy and take that game down. Alright, so this game we have a Pheasantipity in the active, but we are going to end up being up against Ceruledge. They just Carmine right away. Now this is a pretty decent starting hand. I'll probably just use both Poffins, get down 3 Comfey. 3 is generally the number of Comfeys that I want, but I Poffin and see that there's only 1 Comfey in the deck. Here I'm just kind of in shock and just looking like in disbelief. This is the list that I was playing originally. The first one that I did, and I had like 3 Lightning in that list and 3 Water and no Sableye and 2 Pikachu, just trying to focus more around the Pikachu attack and getting it up as quick as possible. Like there's 3 PokéStops and 3 Lost Vacuums, and I decide to retreat because that just seems like the better option. Why burn a switch when I don't have to? And now this is immediately kind of an awkward choice. I'm still unsure of what to go for here. I'm pretty sure I can afford to get rid of a Water Energy though. I think all 3 were in the deck, or I might be actually just giving up Greninja here, but I do want to throw this down and switch into it because I don't want my only Comfey gone with this really awkward hand, and I was kind of forced into making that decision. They do end up judging me. This hand sucks just as much as the last one though, so what can you do? I think they do end up whiffing a meaningful attack here. Well, I guess doing 20 is kind of the same as doing 200, but we do top deck a Colress. That's pretty nice. Now, in a perfect world here, I would be able to, use Greninja's attack and knock out 2 of the Charcadets, but that's probably just not going to happen because, you know, that, all those prizes, yeah, that Water, I did end up giving up my, access or ability to use Greninja, but I just really don't know that I had a choice there, or I felt like that was the right decision. Putting a Pokemon in the active they can't knock out for sure, and preserving my Comfey just seemed too good to pass up. Now here I think I'm gonna Nest Ball for Cram and Prime Catcher up at Charcadet, knock it out. I'm not too sure if this was the correct play or not. It would have been nice if I could have Mirage Gated and knocked out their Pheasantipity and kind of left them with a dead hand. Now, I don't know. If I didn't use or get rid of my Water Energy, I probably almost definitely would have just passed there and not giving them access to Fez. but I didn't really have the most meaningful follow-up next turn. And I guess you could definitely argue that that might have been correct still at this point. And watching it back, I'm not too sure. Because I think that they weren't going to be doing much if I didn't, you know, let them draw 3 cards with Pheasantipity. But they do end up playing out most of their hands, so I can't imagine they got all those cards off of the Pheasant Greninja, but maybe they did. Now here, I think I have pretty good odds of being able to knock out this Ceruledge. I'm not sure. I think I probably should have grabbed the Nest Ball off of that Colress. That might have been a mistake. I needed the Switch Cart though, and I didn't want to get rid of the Mirage Gate. I think was the other option. I don't know, that's questionable, but I do get lucky enough to get into a Nest Ball here anyway. Now I can just throw back some of the energy that I need. Nest Ball for a Pikachu, or I already have Pikachu, and play Poffin for another Comfey. Yeah, I'm just having trouble deciding what energy to put back, and I end up deciding it's basically the same. Either way, I'm going to need 2 Super Rod to use Pikachu again next turn, so it's kind of, all that I needed to do is definitely put back a metal. I switch into the Pikachu, Poffin for the Comfey. I could throw PokéStop in play, but I probably should have just thrown PokéStop in play. In hindsight, they're drawing plenty of cards, but I didn't, so this is where we are now. And I had to use my Pikachu to only take 1 prize, so that is pretty unfortunate. My other ones in the Lost Zone, I don't know, I'm not ever using Pikachu without a Super Rod next turn anyway, so this is kind of fine. And I should be able to get into a Super Rod with this hand, or to a Pikachu attack, I mean, because I have the Nest Ball, PokéStop, and Switch, so as long as Comfey gets me something, or the PokéStop at least gets me a Super Rod, I should be good to go. And then all I need to get into towards the end game is like boss Bloodmoon, which should be, definitely should be doable. Oh yeah, my opponent's not gonna be able to knock me out. I totally forgot about that. I'm already like planning for them to one-shot me here and having to get Pikachu back, but I think this really shows the power of this card. Just the ability to knock out a 2 prize Pokemon, even though we did only get 1, but it did even out the prize trade, so that's kind of fine. And yeah, now I still have my attacker. It's kind of perfect. I top deck Roxanne. That is pretty nice. I'm definitely going to be using that next turn. And then PokéStop is kind of a complete dud. I can Lost Vacuum and use another PokéStop. I'm not entirely sure what to Lost Vacuum away though, so I do just end up switching into Comfey because I'm gonna have to, more than likely gonna have to use 2 Mirage Gates to attack with Pikachu anyway, so I might as well just use one of them to retreat the Comfey. Now I do get into another Switch Cart there, which is fine. I can use another Comfey, or I can just attack with Cram. I kind of completely forgot about this part of the game. Yeah, I just attack with Cram. This ends up kind of being a meaningless turn, but my kind of thought was that I can either one-shot any new Ceruledge that they bring up, or finish off this Ceruledge with my Bloodmoon and then knock out the next Ceruledge with my Pikachu. And I don't know that I was ever going to get into a Pikachu attack with that last hand. I guess if I switched into another Comfey and hit a Super Rod, I would have been good to just use both Mirage Gates and retreat the Comfey and attack with the Pikachu. Now this is where I kind of realized that this turn makes no, or the last turn didn't really make the most sense, because the plan was for them to knock out a 2-prizer and me to Roxanne them and get my attack, and I would have gotten into the Super Rod, we can see, because I top decked it. So that is rather unfortunate and kind of a missed opportunity. I Pokégear, and I really thought that I was almost guaranteed to hit a Colress there, but I guess not. Now Bloodmoon would be 3 energy, and I don't know that that's exactly worth it. Maybe it is. Maybe I should have just gone for a Bloodmoon attack here, because I do end up just attacking with Pikachu and attaching 1 energy to Bloodmoon. And watching this back, I think that that might be a little bit of a mistake. Here I Mirage Gate first. Now I have to retreat my Comfey with that. I think I did these things in the wrong order. I apparently don't remember this game that well either. I was pretty confident that I attached an energy to Bloodmoon here, but I think I should have used flower selecting before I played the Super Rod, and then after I played the Super Rod, I realized that I would have liked to attach an energy to the Bloodmoon, but now I don't really have that option, because if I flower selecting, there's a good chance that I hit multiple energy, and I would need to hit exactly switch to be able to like pull out all the energy first and put it on the Bloodmoon. So yeah, didn't end up going with that. Here I was thinking about bossing up the Pheasantipity, but I can just save that for next turn, and we get Comfey Heavy Ball off the prizes, 2 of the most meaningless prizes, which is, it is whatever, you know, you're gonna get what you get. Now I realize why my opponent benched the Rotom last turn. For some reason it didn't click in my head, but this makes sense. It's smart. I should have Lost Vacuum last turn and forced them to need a new stadium to be able to knock this out. They hit double side or Carmine and Judge off of that Rotom, which is kind of hilarious. Now I think I am almost guaranteed here to be able to use the Bloodmoon attack and knock out the Pheasantipity. I can PokéStop twice and use Comfey, so got pretty good odds here. I do end up hitting the Metal Energy. Now I can definitely see my whole deck with PokéStop and Greninja combination. So yeah, I'm just going to do that and get into the Mirage Gate and then Super Rod. Or no, I got into a switch, so I can just switch and boss and knock out the Pheasantipity and end up taking that game down. So yeah, that was the Pikachu deck. It's definitely pretty cool. Try it out for yourselves. It is quite a bit harder to play than a lot of the Lost Box decks that we've had recently. I just find the more obscure energy lineup, the trickier it makes it to play, because it really like presses your resources a lot. Like it makes it so you're more likely to hit important energy. It makes Super Rods more important, and it makes Mirage Gates more important. So it is definitely a bit trickier to play, but it is pretty powerful and pretty decent. So yeah, like or dislike, comment, and subscribe. Thank you, and have a good one.